Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a comparison between the Google Nexus 9 on the left and the Samsung Galaxy Tab S 10.5 on the right. The Nexus 9 is priced at $399 for a 16GB Wi-Fi only tablet. The Tab S, on the other hand, is priced at $499 for the same 16 gigs of storage. If you want to step up to 32 gigs in either of these devices, you're going to look at a considerable jump up in price for $79 for the Nexus 9 and $550 for the Tab S. Keep in mind the Tab S has been on the market for some time now, and through the course of this review, you're going to hear me basically continuously remind you that the hardware in the Nexus 9 is far superior to that of the Tab S. What the Tab S has going for it, though, is its 10.5-inch Super AMOLED display, which is also considerably higher with regard to resolution than what you're going to find here on the 8.9-inch Nexus 9. Now, screens aside, I've already made it clear, the display here on the Tab S is far superior to what you're getting on the Nexus 9. And I've done demos of this before, and that's because when it comes to tablets, smartphones, whatever it may be, a Super AMOLED is always going to outperform, especially Samsung's Super AMOLED, therefore the super part, clearly, whatever the competition has to offer. And the only time we're going to see better displays is when Samsung actually bests this display you're looking at right now. And that's why pricing has held firm on this 2560 by 1600 resolution Super AMOLED 10.5-inch tablet. And the 8.4 is also regarded as the best display on any sub 10-inch tablet on the market, even though the brand new Sony Xperia Z3 Compact tablet does give it a run, but not really a run for its money. Now, backing out of this video, I was only giving you that demo because it really does, in my opinion, completely demonstrate how vastly superior this display is on the Samsung to just about anything. But for a moment, do not think that the screen you're getting here with the Nexus 9 is also a great performer, because it is. Slightly beyond 1080p, you are getting a beyond Full HD resolution, 8.9 inches rather than the 10.5, so you're not getting more pixel density, but you're getting a very good compromise of that. It is an IPS display. I wish it was a Super AMOLED like we have on the right, but no tablet, no device, no product, nothing in life is going to be exactly as we would all like or desire. But what both of these are great compromises. So, as I mentioned, incredible display here on the Tab S 10.5, and a price point, unfortunately, to reflect that you are getting the only 10.5-inch Super AMOLED on the market. The Nexus 9 takes a completely different approach, giving you the best with regard to hardware and software. When I say best, yes, no Super AMOLED, but otherwise the best. And that's because here you're getting, as I mentioned, an 8.9-inch display that is beyond Full HD, but at $399, a considerable discount to the Tab S, you're getting much better internals. Now, when I say much better, I'm speaking specifically to the processor that's under the hood. We've got a Tegra K1 64-bit processor that is dual-core, some of the best single-core performance you're going to find on the mobile platform, or in the mobile world of processing. On the graphics side as well, NVIDIA really has taken time with Project Denver to ensure that it is a beast of a processor, and this is the first device to sport it. Granted, the Tegra K1 32-bit chip has been in the Shield tablet and also is a great device. It simply isn't the same generation of hardware we're looking at here. So you've got a great processor, 2 gigs of RAM, a competent 1.6 megapixel front-facing camera, 8 megapixel camera on the back. So very similar specifications when it comes to the cameras with the Samsung. Front-facing speakers, something I wish the Samsung tablet had. Soft touch back plastic finish here, which does pick up fingerprints pretty intensely, but it's not that bad, and you'll probably see some of them here. But I think it actually looks worse in person than it does on camera. The 8 megapixel camera right there with LED flash on the left-hand side corner. And overall, this 15-ounce tablet, I think, is a great compromise at $399 for someone who wants direct updates. Most importantly, of course, this tablet is running Lollipop out of the box. Here we're still dealing with KitKat. The Tab S should see a Lollipop update, but no timetable, as far as I'm aware of, has been established at current. That said, forget the fact that this is running KitKat. Anyone who's willing to live with the compromise of TouchWiz already knows that the OS version, of course, is vital, but it's more about whether or not Samsung has gotten TouchWiz right. And in this case, I think this is one of the best experiences that TouchWiz has had to offer in the tablet world. It's only been improved upon now in the latest smartphones, the Note 4, the S5. You do have a fingerprint scanner here that you're not going to find on this tablet. You also have an infrared blaster on the top of this tablet in order to use this as a universal remote control. You also have a micro SD card slot for storage expansion, yet another thing you simply aren't going to get with your Nexus device that has fixed internal storage. 3 gigs of RAM do complement the Exynos octa-core processor that powers this tablet, that being the Tab S, which might sound like it would be more powerful than the Tegra K1 that I was just mentioning, but it just isn't. In fact, it's an old processor that Samsung has been using for a couple of generations now, and essentially by keeping that RAM level, I would say beyond competent at 3 gigs, again, only 2 gigs in the Nexus 9, Samsung has made sure that the experience here is still solid. And then all the added benefits of TouchWiz, and I know that may sound odd for many of you, but the multitasking capabilities, a lot of the customizations, the nuance that does actually reflect a mature overlay, unlike many other competing overlays that are still just manufacturer's way of slapping something on top of the Android OS. I mean, even some features of Samsung's TouchWiz have now made it to Lollipop as standard. I would argue the way you deal with notifications on the lock screen, among many other things. But again, really contrasting devices here, even though they both are going to be at the top of anyone's shortlist for a premium best-in-class tablet in 2014 and 2015, I might add, because again, the pairing of hardware and software, even though here the software and hardware outside of the Super AMOLED really don't compare to the Nexus 9, that screen, since this is a tablet after all, brings it right back into the competition, the running. And also, this is a thinner or lighter tablet, ounce for ounce, for the screen real estate you get than the Nexus 9, which is a little bit chunkier, a little bit heavier because of its metallic build, whereas the Galaxy Tab S is literally just essentially all plastic, a wafer-like 10.5-inch, I would say, beauty, because, again, all of the features it has in its form, with arguably the best display that I've ever seen on any device in the market, and hopefully we'll see this spreading to all devices, as it should, not just smartphones and now tablets. With regard to the rest of what's under the hood, that's where I have to remind everyone the Nexus 9 kills it. I mean, it absolutely does. In the same way that on software updates, it kills the Samsung device. But many people are going to be more than happy with what they get out of the Samsung device stock, and that is what is really critical. With regard to Wi-Fi, Bluetooth performance, about a wash. I know I'm not doing any web browsing tests, and that's because, quite frankly, I don't need to. If you're in the market for the best tablet that hardware and software can offer at the best price, the Nexus 9 delivers on that. The only real shortcoming, in my eyes, with the Nexus 9 is the 4:3 aspect ratio of the display. And I've kept both of these tablets in portrait mode through the course of this review because the Nexus 9 now resides in a 4:3 world in order to make a lot of, I would say, hybrid users that want to use this tablet for e-reading as well as video, general media content consumption. They now have the best of both worlds, or at least that's what 4:3 users think they're getting. And there are advantages, don't get me wrong, but for traditional content consumption, nothing beats the 16:9 aspect ratio that Android tablets have been rocking from the very beginning. And the Tab S, again, a complete opposite of the Nexus 9 in yet another way, this one a physical element, reminding you that it is all about content consumption, and you should already know that because you've got the best display to look at that content with. And higher resolution at that. So it's really a matter of personal preference, which form factor you want to go with. They're very close in price again, because 16 gigs here, 500, 16 gigs here, 400. But when it comes to hardware, there's no question the Nexus 9 does have superior internal specifications in every way, even though it has 1 gig less of RAM. And then on the software side of if you don't care about TouchWiz, if you're not a Samsung user that's accustomed to and loves everything that they build in, then there's no question about, again, your choice should be, you should be leaning towards the Nexus 9, because there you're getting all the latest software, not having to worry about your tablet becoming outdated or antiquated simply because Samsung decides they need to refresh the Tab S lineup, which is exactly how it works in the tablet and smartphone world when you step outside of the Nexus experience. So the Nexus experience, for those of you unfamiliar, delivers uncompromising performance and overall quality at a price that generally would require compromise. And don't get me wrong, there is some, but most of it's by design. I mean, the non-expandable storage, no wireless charging, which I wish was incorporated. These are things that are unfortunate, but still, the Nexus 9, great audio performance, upgraded cameras, not as good as what you have in the Tab S, just as you don't have as good a display. But in every other way, this tablet does beat the Tab S beyond display, and again, that aspect ratio. No infrared remote, I mentioned that before, but I don't know how many users really pick a tablet based on that feature, and that's why pretty much every manufacturer has been incorporating it. But I will reiterate over and over again that if your focus is on actual content consumption and not necessarily the ebook form, this is the better device. And even for e-reading, go with the 8.4. You've got a much better display to put your eyes on with regard to resolution and actual performance. But as I've said over and over again, if you don't care about the Super AMOLED, in fact, some users think IPS displays look better, the Nexus 9 is an easy choice at $100 less retail, again with much better internal hardware and much more current software, in fact, the most current that is in the entire marketplace. So both are really solid options. Of course, more features, more bells and whistles with the Samsung product. That's what Samsung is all about. With regard to battery life, also a little bit better on the Tab S, believe it or not, than the Nexus 9, and that may change with software updates to the Nexus 9. It's possible. Speaker performance, better on the Nexus 9 than the Tab S. The Tab S is a little bit more hollow, which is unfortunate considering this is the more content-consuming machine, in my opinion, because of that dazzling display. But at the end of the day, as I keep saying over and over again, both of these are fantastic tablets, and it really just comes down to whether or not you prefer 16:9 or 4:3 and Super AMOLED versus IPS, because I personally am more than willing to live with the dated software because I'm looking at a screen that's far from dated, whereas here I unfortunately am reminded that despite the fact it has incredible hardware under the hood, the display, again, is top tier. It's right up there with all of the competition, aka Apple and Amazon, who it's really targeting. But when you compare it, when you put anything next to this Super AMOLED, it's just going to look like something from another generation. At least that's my personal opinion, and I wish it weren't the case, because then the Nexus 9 would be that much more easy to endorse, just about going against every tablet, especially a more expensive tablet like this, where you think it would easily win. So just to wrap things up, no question the Nexus 9 wins out on hardware and software. It just comes up short on the screen, the aspect ratio, and again, a lot of those extra features that some users will care about: the fingerprint scanner, the infrared remote, the TV guide integration into this device. I mean, this is much more of a extension of your home theater, your home electronics ecosystem than the Nexus 9, which is more of a tablet that represents an extension of your actual life and your mobile experience on your smartphone. That, of course, is unless you are a Samsung smartphone user, then you are getting the best of both worlds. So both are very solid options. Both cost or come in at premium cost, so that is to be expected. If I had to choose, of course, that's what many of you have been waiting for through the course of the 15-minute video, my choice would be the Tab S, simply because, again, that Super AMOLED display is the difference between an amazing tablet and a tablet that I wish had it. And even though this does have dated hardware, it still can do everything this tablet can, maybe not as quickly. TouchWiz doesn't help. Of course, you can overlay TouchWiz very easily with another launcher. So at the end of the day, I'd rather have the best-in-class display that no one else has challenged in any form or fashion than just get the latest processor, as well as, unfortunately, the latest software, which I know is eventually going to make its way here, and I've already seen, and it's great, and it is a game changer, but in a 4:3 aspect ratio, it just isn't right for me personally. And that's where we've got a lot of different options. By the way, the fast charging on this is an edge that the Tab S does not have. That's another thing I wanted to point out. But that pretty much covers everything. Both are great tablets. You won't be disappointed with either, but if you care about ounce for ounce display quality, and I also think the 10.5 lends itself to far more productive mobile computing. You've got more real estate to work with, better for multitasking. So while many will argue the 4:3 has its advantages for formatting, 10.5 inches and 16:9 basically kills whatever edge I would argue you have with that 4:3 aspect ratio. But that sums things up. Hope this helped those of you that were curious about the differences between the Nexus 9 and Galaxy Tab S 10.5. I know for me it's a tough choice, but again, the 10.5, just because of that display size, resolution, and quality, and competent components, even though they're not anywhere near the bleeding edge Nexus 9 hardware-software combo, that's enough to win me over, since the real-world daily use is what I'm after, and that's where the Tab S, at least for my needs, is going to be the more competent, or at least more enjoyable device to use, ounce for ounce especially, considering how thin and lightweight it is. And with regard to build quality, even though the Nexus 9 has taken a step in the right direction with the metallic build that HTC has introduced, I'm still left feeling like it is just another Nexus device. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a reminder of the fact that these tablets are only separated by $100. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.